So I finally went to see Alien Covenant, and it's okay. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Izzy, and anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise. I mean, look at this. I'm wearing this shirt right now. And it's kind of weird for me to be that big a fan of a franchise that has had so far, let's count them: Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2, even though they're not really part of the main story canon, but whatever, Prometheus, and now Alien Covenant. We've had 8 movies so far, and only really 2 of them are good, without any qualifiers, any modifiers. They're just good movies. So, but I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise, like I said. Aliens, the second one, directed by James Cameron, 1986. One of my favorite movies of all time. I saw that movie when I was a kid. I actually saw Aliens before I saw Alien, which I hear is apparently kind of like a common thing. It was a very interesting experience for me to like see the second one first and then go see the original. It was like I was watching a prequel when I was a kid, and that movie shocked me. It was the chest burster scene. That was the source of so many nightmares as a kid. Everything about that movie was just so, it was flawless too. For my money, Aliens is the best sequel movie ever made. Perhaps, like, it's tied with Terminator 2. Same director. What a coincidence. The chest burster scene, and the scene where a character asks the other characters to kill her, like this character's like saying, please kill me. As an 8-year-old, that idea was such a like, holy shit, she knows she's about to experience so much pain. She's asking someone to kill her, both to put her out of her misery and to save the other people. That was such a shocker. Like, the concept was, it was incredible. Anyway, big fan of the series. Okay, so Alien Covenant takes place 10 years after the events of Prometheus. We're talking about a second ship called the Covenant, and it's going to a planet with colonists, a colonization mission. Which, I always wonder about the logistics of an operation like that. Because once you're going to another planet, you're going there for life, you're not going back to Earth anymore. I don't know how, like, how do they convince you to do that? When, like, they can't offer you money because you're going to an empty planet. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So they're going to a planet, something happens to the ship, and it gets disabled. So they're kind of like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? It's still, we have a long ways to go. And oh, what is this? We detect a transmission from a planet that we haven't seen before, but it has, it's a habitable planet. We can actually set down there, and actually we can start the colony here if we want. And they put it to a vote, and they end up going there, which I thought was kind of weird, because you think that like this is such a like an important space mission like that. They couldn't just say like, oh, let's, you know what? It's not like you're going to the gas station and then you just happen to come across a gas station that's closer. We're talking about anyway. So they set down on this planet to go investigate this transmission. As you can see, familiar beats, right? One of the astronauts gets infected by an alien, and then they get brought onto the ship. And anyway, I think the main thing with Covenant, for me, Alien Covenant, is that it's beat by beat. Like, you'll feel like you have seen this movie already, because the Alien movies, they're kind of like, the first one was very groundbreaking. And then every movie after that was too much of the same, like, oh, there's this transmission from this planet, let's go investigate, and what's going on? And I feel like throughout the entire movie, I'm like, yeah, I've seen this before. Now, they handle a lot of things that Prometheus kind of screwed up with. They explain a lot of the things that were kind of left hanging in the air. And I like that. It was good to revisit that. I was like, okay, so this is what happened. We see David again, the robot, the android from the first movie. And the time he spent in isolation. There's some interesting themes about what it means to be human and aspiring to be human. There's a Pinocchio thing going on, mixed in with, you know, wanting to create something but not being allowed to create something. There's a lot of similarities with the whole idea that, like, God created angels and created humans. Humans have free will, the angels don't have free will. So there's a lot of religious themes like that. Which I'm okay with. I actually like religious themes in movies when it's done right. Covenant, I just thought it was a little out of place. They tried that in Prometheus, it didn't jive so well. And I guess they were a little bit too on the nose with Prometheus. With Covenant, it was just like, I get what you're trying to do, it's just not really doing it for me. Alien, the way I see it anyway, was never about that. You know, like, I understand that with this new saga of, like, you know, Prometheus and Covenant, because it explores the origin of mankind and all that, you have to kind of, okay, what about religion? Like, how does that play into this worldview now that the aliens created mankind? I understand that. I just thought it kind of fucked up the pacing. And The problem with this movie, I thought the biggest problem with this movie was that it was too predictable. There was a twist in the end that I could see coming a mile away, and I'm sure you will as well. The third act, like I said, if you've ever seen an alien movie, it's very much like, okay, sit down, there's aliens, shit happens, we gotta go over here, we gotta escape this place where we are, we'll make it back to the ship, we're good. Oh wait, the alien made it up here, we gotta blow it out of an airlock. You have seen this played out. I hope I'm not spoiling the movie. I guess I spoiled it a little bit, but overall, it wasn't a terrible alien movie. It was better than Prometheus, but again, it doesn't take much to be better than Prometheus. I found, maybe I didn't pay enough attention, I have to watch the movie again perhaps, but there's a few things how they explain the origin of the xenomorph, because in in Prometheus, we didn't have a xenomorph like we have in the other movies in the franchise. In this one, we have a full-blown xenomorph, the one you recognize, that guy over there that I have, the action figure. And they imply, the way they imply how that came to be, how that specific species was created, does not work with the events of the other movies. I thought that it tried to answer questions, and maybe again, I didn't pay enough attention, maybe I have to watch it again. But I think, like, wait a second, that doesn't add up. Overall, an okay movie. It's definitely not my favorite in the franchise. My favorite will always be Aliens. And if anything, the thing that upsets me about Covenant is not so much the movie, it's the fact that we were going to get an Aliens sequel by Neo Blomkamp, the South African director. They made District 9, Chappie, Elysium. I mentioned that out of order, but it doesn't matter. He was working on concept art for this new Alien sequel. It wasn't made by Fox. This is very interesting. It was a passion project of his. He's a fan of the franchise, much as myself, and he wanted to use his clout and his money, his influence, to try to force Fox to revisit the Aliens universe and do a sequel. So that would basically retcon Alien 3. Horrible movie. It was a trouble production. It's first time I cried watching a movie. Can you believe that? When Ripley, spoiler, kills herself in that movie, I cried. I was what? I think I was 12, 11 or 12. I cried because I grew up watching this lady kick all sorts of ass, and in the end, she made the ultimate sacrifice. She killed herself so that the company, Will and Yutani, wouldn't get their hands on a xenomorph. I actually cried. That's the first time I ever cried watching a movie. It goes to show how big a fan I am of this franchise. But yeah, so Neo Blomkamp was very excited. He apparently was already working on a script. He had reached Sigourney Weaver and Michael Biehn to reprise their roles, and it kind of all felt. He posted a bunch of concept art that he was working on his Instagram, and it all seemed like his push, like him trying to push the execs at Fox. Like, look, you see how much people are liking this? Let's get together. Let's make this. I'm working on a script. And Sigourney Weaver even mentioned in interviews that she had read the script, she was liking it, was going to move forward, this was going to happen. I was beyond excited because despite Neo Blomkamp's last kind of, Elysium and Chappie, good premises, horrible third act, I have a lot of faith in him as a director. Seems like a cool guy too. He's the kind of guy that admits when he fucks up. I like that in someone. And, but yeah, the project was completely shelved because Fox decided to go with Ridley Scott vision. He's the creator of the series, so of course he has seniority. But because Alien Covenant went, that's funny because that's twice now that Ridley Scott fucked up something I wanted. Someone was working on a script for an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness. I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan, so I was very excited for this movie. And then when Prometheus was being done, people thought that the whole idea that like there's this alien species, they come to Earth, they created mankind, blah, blah, blah. They thought it was too similar and they didn't want to have that whole situation with dueling movies going on. Remember Deep Impact and Armageddon, or Volcano and Dante's Peak? That kind of situation. They didn't want that, so they decided to scrap that script. They ended up reworking it, and that became Pacific Rim. A good movie. I like Pacific Rim as well, but I really wanted to see At the Mountains of Madness. So I never got At the Mountains of Madness because Ridley Scott made Prometheus. Then I was gonna get a sequel to Aliens, my favorite movie of all time, and Ridley Scott comes in and says, no, I'm gonna do Alien Covenant instead. Fuck you, Neo Blomkamp, and fuck you, izzynobre, you. It kinda sucks, but at least the movie wasn't terrible. It's a sad state of things. That the best thing I can say about a movie, it's not terrible. The critics are liking it. It got us right now. It has a 71% positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics, 61% I believe by the audience. So again, not that bad. But I think we gave Ridley Scott enough chances at this point. I would love to see what Neo Blomkamp was gonna do in this universe. And I have to say, the beats in Alien Covenant are very familiar. Right? Like everything, it feels, at least I felt that way, that I have seen this movie already. And aside from the little explanations about Prometheus, like the things that they kind of fill in the gaps, that was great. It still didn't make the movie great for me. It was a great thing that they did, but the movie's still whatever. I will say this, the Alien comic books, they're so much more creative. They explore so much more about that universe. And one of the things I like, there's a story where the company, there's this underlying subplot of the company trying to capture the xenomorphs to use it as a bioweapon. And we never actually seen that realized. I guess we sort of see it in Alien Covenant, but not anyway, not the way Weyland-Yutani had in mind. In the comics, they actually managed to use that. They have a xenomorph that's been captured and has been trained to respond to, like, it has this VR-like headset, and there's an operator that controls this xenomorph. Anyway, that's very creative, very innovative, and that's what I would like to see. The closest we got to seeing the company actually using these things as a weapon, we got to seeing them breeding them as weapons, but never get to actually see them in action like weapons, was in Alien Resurrection, which again, crappy movie. Did you know that movie was written by Joss Whedon, of all people? Kind of weird, right? Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. I have to go to work, I have to clean my place, I gotta cook. Alien Covenant, I'm gonna say, if I have to give it a number, I'm gonna say a solid C+. How about that? Now I'm thirsty. I gotta go. See you guys later. Part of me wants more Alien movies. Part of me feels like enough is enough. We gave the original creator, the guy who had the original vision, we gave him 3 chances now to get this right. We got one good movie out of this guy. One legitimately good movie out of the dude. So, okay, maybe I'm done. I'm just gonna rewatch Aliens. Fuck this.